What's up, and welcome to the Crude Oil Podcast, a weekly uncensored Edmonton Oilers podcast with your hosts, Sean and Greg. What's up, and welcome back to the Crude Oil Podcast. It is the Jochen Hesch episode.
I like Jochen Hesch.
So did I. He came over from like St. Louis, right?
I think so. I remember him from Buffalo.
Oh.
Because he played in Buffalo
that's right.
during the Chris Drury, Maxime Afinogenov years.
Yeah.
Andy Briere, things like that.
Yeah. Anyways, how's it going?
It's going good.
How's your
weekend?
weekend?
Been a good weekend.
Yeah.
And now, currently, the Oilers are winning, so it's been pretty good. This is a typical Oilers game where my emotions are all over the place. So.
Yeah. We should mention we're recording live during the Pittsburgh game. I'm going to try not to turn away from my mic too much to pay attention, so I'll let you guide the TV and the excitement that's going on here in the third. But, lots to talk about, lots of games that kind of went through over the past week, and we'll get into those. But do you want to just jump into what we've seen so far tonight?
Yeah, I think so. I think that'd be a good idea.
Off the top of our head, yeah.
Try to get these live thoughts out of our heads while we still can.
It was not looking good to start things off.
Well, let's be honest, I don't blame the shots as much on the Oilers themselves, but it's more on the power plays. We can't give them 3 power plays and expect not to get outshot for one. 20 shots with 3 power plays. 20 shots is a lot. Yeah. I'm not going to say it's not, but when they have 3 power plays to R1, it's going to result in that. And to be fair, I think Edmonton did a fantastic job on pushing Pittsburgh to the outside on the power play and only really giving them outside shots. It sucked on the first goal that Pittsburgh scored from Raquel, where it was just a huge screen, so he never had a chance. I think it was Murray, I believe.
I'm not too sure on that one. I was the one that stands out to me is the Crosby goal, the absolute lack of awareness that Darnell Nurse had with the pass across crease. I know he was picking up one of the trailer, but you got to be cognizant that Leon Draisaitl's busting his ass from the other end. I think Nurse just jumped on the ice. Just no awareness that Crosby's sitting in the slot.
So from every angle I could find, the only thing I saw was Draisaitl coasting in from the blue line and way behind Crosby and not in the play at all. Was he trying to back check?
I don't know.
Because from what I could tell, he was just floating there looking like controller disconnected Ovechkin from the meme all those years ago. He was just floating there while Crosby was flying in backdoor. So personally on that play, I was going to blame Draisaitl more than anything else. And CC's inability to apparently knock Raquel off the puck somehow.
I will not miss playing Ricard Raquel 5 times a season.
He has Edmonton's number. All those years in Anaheim, he was always I always thought how does this guy not score 50 every year?
Yeah, he has a tendency to light us up, so it's good riddance. I guess.
It's the same thing with Nikolai Ehlers out of Winnipeg. They just they seem like they're gods against Edmonton, but then they're just they're good players, but they're not crazy good. They seem to play against Edmonton.
There's someone I'm blanking on in LeBanc in
Kevin
San
LeBanc?
Jose. Yeah, that's another one that always fucking just gets me. But I should mention it's 5-3 right now. We're just awaiting the third period, but the Oilers come out blazing in the second. I nearly lost my breath. Obviously, we were watching it together, but when McDavid slid into the post, I thought it was I was ready to burn the house down.
I was scared to the point where I didn't even know that I should be scared. I was just kind of what happened?
Yeah.
Because I kind of missed it because I watched him pass to Yamamoto, and Yamamoto completely whiff on it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even see it. Next thing I see is McDavid sliding into the end boards. I didn't see the post it, and he's writhing in pain. What the fuck happened?
Yeah. It was definitely scary, but I'm glad that he came back. But that kind of seemed to be the turning point in this game. I know seeing McDavid go down, that's probably a good wake-up call to the rest of the team. Oh, shit, we got to step up now.
Well, I think the whole team was concerned, for one. They're oh, shit, we have to play now. We can't just rely on McDavid to do everything. But, yeah, it was pretty scary. That was a pretty dirty play by Petrie. I don't think he meant to, knock him over or anything. But McDavid had already gotten rid of the puck, and he decides to, play the body on him anyways by essentially pushing on his lower back to knock him down.
Yeah.
So doing that kind of shit, that could have, luckily, it ended up so far not being much. We'll see after the game if there's anything that comes out of that. I'm sure he'll have some bruising back there. Yeah. But it could have ended up like a fucking Stamkos injury where Stamkos broke his leg, but it could have been his back.
Yeah, it was scary, but I still think there's a little bit of a hitch in his giddy up right now. Like, I don't... hopefully everything's fine, but...
Just for reference, Edmonton did throttle them. Shots were 26-4 that period.
In the second?
Yeah, for Edmonton.
Jesus.
Yeah, we thought it was a lopsided first period. Yeah, and then Edmonton's like, no, we'll show you what a lopsided period is.
Two absolute, complete different games. The Tyson Barrie goal I just wanted to talk about. What a frickin' that looked like, what's that game where you drop a coin in, you don't know where it's gonna...
Oh, it's just like plinkoing everywhere.
Plinko, yeah.
Yeah, that puck had a mind of its own. It just wanted to get to the back of the net. Just for McDavid, it was just like, we got to do this for him.
That's a hockey god's goal right there.
Yeah, it's like watching The Simpsons and Homer's little do it for her sign, but it's just pictures of McDavid everywhere.
Too funny. Yeah, so they pick up that one without McDavid on the ice. And then, obviously, the goals at the end of the period just seemed to come in flurry. Like Kane, Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, like it was just back to back to back to back.
You know, I'm just glad Kane could hit the net because literally I have my notes here in front of me. Just before I was like, Kane needs to learn how to hit the net.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, he learns how to hit the net and he scores.
Yeah, it's been a tough start to the season, I think, for Evander Kane, but I think he's starting to slowly pick it up.
I think the whole team's kind of had a slow start. Like,
I was gonna say
the timing of everybody has just been so off.
Well, and you're seeing uncharacteristic stuff like McDavid's passes in the feet and...
Well, there was one pass I remember distinctively in the St. Louis game where Draisaitl tried to pass it across to McDavid, and he passed it like 6 feet in front of him. It misses him. It has to go to the boards, bounce off. McDavid has to skate to get the puck before he can do anything. Yeah. It's like Draisaitl never misses that pass.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know how he ended up doing that.
It's, I think they're still figuring things out. I mean, I'm not going to lie, the meter of like when do we start panicking is getting shorter and shorter for me, especially in a 3-1 game like where we were staring into at the start of the second here. Like I was really, really nervous to see what ended up happening, but...
There was a really great play there by Nurse to break up a 2-on-1.
Oh.
So, got to give Nurse some props because sometimes we like to roast him for his patented lay-down play. But when it works, it works. You can't argue with that.
Yeah. I just have an issue with Darnell Nurse this year. I don't know what it is, but it feels like he's jumping up into a lot of plays, a lot more, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because I think we're seeing a lot more offensive chances from him. But at the same breath, I do find that he's getting caught defensively a lot, and I don't think the Oilers are the team to. I mean, granted, you have the best defenseman on the team on it, like playing with him, but I don't know.
I think part of the problem is Edmonton probably needs some more defensive-minded defensemen on their team because you have guys like Nurse, Bouchard, Barrie, even Kulak. They all like to jump up into the play, and especially when Kulak's out there, because he's usually partnered with Bouchard or Barrie, then one or both of them are hopping up into the play, and then there's nobody back. Or one of the forwards has to be covering, and it just kind of kills the play in the offensive zone because they can't get the cycle going because all three of their one of their forwards has to be back, so they can't cycle properly with two guys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's the exact play, but... so the other goals were in the period before we move on past that was Nuge, who scored off of a Hyman between the legs, attempted backhand behind the back pass that just perfectly bounced out into the slot. Not intended pass direction, but it worked out. Nice to see Nuge get on the board again.
Yeah.
He's I think he's going to throttle his prior year goal pace that he had.
I think he's slowly settling in.
Well, he's going to the net, I found, which is really nice because he does have really fast hands and the ability to get a quality shot off quickly, which a lot of the players don't seem to have. Looking at Yamamoto this year, that's another thing I wanted to point out in this game. Like, I know he had he created the turnover that led to the Kane goal, where the puck went to Draisaitl and then he passed to Kane, which was good, and that's what you want out of Yamamoto. But he also needs to bury these chances. And he's had at least 2, if not 3, like grade A chances in this game, and he just completely whiffed on them. The McDavid pass and another one in the first period where he just completely missed the net.
So I was thinking about that too, because I had the 3 people listed as Kane, Kulak, and Yamamoto as players that really have been like non-factors so far this year. But I wonder if there's any lingering injury issues with Yamamoto.
It's possible. Like he
is he
always
not-
has. I just assume he always has something. Just because of his stature, he probably can't help but be injured in some way.
Well, and the way
all
he
the time.
plays too. Yeah, he's kind
Well,
of
that's
like
the thing. Even if he does have, like, let's just say he has a cracked rib or something, he's still going to be flying into the corners regardless. He's not going to, like, not do that because he'll end up in the 4th line, if not the AHL, if he doesn't be careful.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I love the guy, like, he probably has a short leash. Kind of like Puljujarvi would have a short leash, too. I think both of them, if they don't run with it, they both have to be looking over their shoulder for something to happen.
And obviously you want, like, the best of both worlds for both players. Like, that's the one thing I've noticed is there seems to be this, like, dichotomy of, like, Oilers fans out there right now that are, like, Team Puljujarvi or Team Yamamoto, and they're going at it, and nobody takes the time to be like, and obviously we've been defensive of Puljujarvi, but I just feel like everybody's just arguing about who's better, or who should be playing where, like, we want them to both succeed. Like,
I mean, in a perfect world, they're both 20 to 30 goal scorers and like 60 points or something like that, and we're laughing to the bank.
yeah.
Like, that'd be perfect because we finally have our top 6 scoring right wingers that we need on this team. Mm-hmm. But instead, we're sitting here arguing like which one of them is really playing worse at this point. Which is like, I don't know if that's just Edmonton as a whole right now is not playing great, but it just hasn't been good. I just watched Yamamoto whiff on a one-timer. So continuing the trend of whiffing on some decent chances.
He's consistent, if not anything.
Yeah. We need to talk about the Draisaitl goal too.
Okay.
Because he just walked right around the defenseman and just roofed it with a backhand.
I was going to say that's the most like Draisaitl-esque Draisaitl shift I've seen
2-on-1. And good defensive play.
That's the most Draisaitl-esque shift I think I've seen him play. Just where he kind of manhandles the puck and he just walked that. I think was it Dumoulin?
I think so.
Just staring at his shoes. But it was nice to.
Draisaitl's one of those guys. He seems like he has no fear of getting hit because he always has his head down. I don't know where he's going with that head down, but he's trying to go through anybody he sees. Mm-hmm. Like, he's got the complete opposite mindset of, like, McDavid, for example. He just likes to try and skate through you and hope for the best. McDavid will burn you to the outside, and Draisaitl will just go right through you, and you'll be like, how the fuck did that just happen?
Yeah. It was a hell of a goal. But as this game shakes out, we might as well take a walk into the past. We'll start with Buffalo last Tuesday because there are some important things that happened in that game. Obviously, fun fact, it's the first time in NHL history that 2 goaltenders from Edmonton both faced off in Edmonton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Eric Comrie and Stuart Skinner. So
I'm surprised that there hasn't been some other goalies from Edmonton in the NHL who have played against each other.
Carter Hart's from Edmonton, right?
And area, I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. Like, I think Sherwood Park, but that's considered Edmonton technically, so it hasn't become its own entity yet.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, no, the game against the Sabres, like, I think I underestimated them coming in. They've got a good young team, but just some of the stuff that you're seeing from their young, like, players is unreal. Like, just the first thing that comes to mind is that Tage Thompson goal that he just walked. Like, they should be showing that in hockey schools. Yeah. Like, that was a clinic he put on there.
Honestly, Buffalo, I think, is finally coming into their own. They got rid of that cancer Jack Eichel out of the room, and got rid of that anchor Rasmus Ristolainen, and suddenly they're figuring out how to play properly.
Yeah.
And I think when they got rid of Kruger, from what I've seen, people have liked to use the term hockey terrorist Ralph Kruger because he only ruins everybody's games. Makes Jeff Skinner play on the 4th line and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's just, the team just looks happy. They look like they're having fun.
Yeah.
And it's the complete opposite of Vancouver, essentially.
Exactly. I think it starts with Alex Tuck. When he came over in that trade, like, he was so excited. Obviously, like, he's from there, but he just came in with a positive mindset. And obviously, when you don't have that outlook for how many years that they've had, it's nice to see them like buy in, but
I think a fresh coach, fresh players. Like I think, like I said, when they moved up Eichel and Ristolainen, it kind of moved around their leadership core a little bit more towards like Dahlin and Tuck, for example, like you said. And I think they just bring a lot more of a positive vibe because they haven't been through 10 years of suffering. Only a couple years for like Dahlin, for example.
Yeah. The only other things that stand out, obviously, the biggest thing is Eric Comrie stood on his head. Like, he was fantastic.
He was the reason they won that game, especially in the third period.
Yeah.
That was like an absolute clinic of how to lock down a game as a goalie.
Yeah.
Not on Buffalo's part defensively by any means, giving up the amount of shots that they did.
They did not help themselves. 48 shots, like that's a lot for a guy in a night. I mean, Edmonton's training there tonight, but
it was 23 alone in the third period. Like,
yeah.
Talk about a team playing on their heels. I think Buffalo was pretty lucky to get out of that one.
Yeah, I would completely agree. The one thing I do want to not forget about is the absolute hospital pass from Warren Foegele.
Ah, yes, the death of Dylan Holloway.
Jesus Christ, did he get fucking rocked.
Like, to be fair, Holloway needs to keep his head up. He cannot take a pass at center ice like that and not have his head up. I don't know what he was thinking. But with that being said, Foegele, the veteran player, should not be making that pass either.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to I have to put all these precursors and shit like this. Because obviously I hope Dylan Holloway's okay. Obviously, like, you want the best for him. But it was nice to see a check like that in hockey again with, like, out people blowing up. Like, that was a clean, hard check.
Like, I would have still, if that hit was on one of Holloway, McDavid, or Draisaitl, for example, like, are your star players or your young players?
Yeah.
I know it was clean. I want to see more of a reaction.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm okay with. Like, the Foegele going up and sticking up for a teammate, no problem with that. It's just nice to see that people aren't, like, freaking out that, oh, it was a dirty hit. Like,
yeah. My that's where my brain first went.
Yeah.
And then I remembered kind of like what entails a dirty hit, like principal point of contact and everything. Like, he may have, like, he hit him in the chest and he may have, like, maybe rode up a little bit and then got him, and that's why his face was bleeding and things like that. But that's kind of just any hit. It kind of will always slide off and go somewhere else. But it was as clean as you can really want. If Niemelainen threw that hit on somebody or something like that, I'd be cheering in the streets.
Yeah, exactly.
So at the end of the day, I'm hoping Holloway's fine. I think he is, relatively speaking. They never put him on IR, so he can't be that injured. I doubt it's a concussion.
Yeah, day to day, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what it's listed.
So I think at the end of the day, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see somebody fight him, but then again, I don't want to see Nurse or Kane, for example, go off 5 minutes just to fight Lyubushkin.
I'm glad Foegele stepped in knowing that it was his fault, essentially. Partially his fault. I'm
happy he was the first one in to be like, he's probably like, every time he's like in there trying to fucking jab him or whatever, he's like, fuck, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. While we're on this point, we talked about this earlier. I want to discuss it a little bit because it happened with the game tonight. One of the weirdest, like, niche rules with hockey, I find, is the extra 2 minutes that you get when you cut someone. And so there's some, like, discrepancy, like you mentioned with the Holloway thing. Although it's a clean hit, but he's cut. Like, should that not, like, would you think that should be a penalty? Like, I don't get the purpose of this.
Well, I think I need to do some more research on what the spirit of a double minor is.
Right.
For example, where essentially drawing blood is a penalty. Mm-hmm. But I think, in theory, if that's what it is, like, if you draw blood, it's a penalty, then, yeah, it should probably play into that. But at the same time, I understand where they're coming from, that I think face stick infractions are one of the most dangerous things outside of, like, major penalties, like hits from behind and stuff, because you can take somebody's eye out.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I think they want to cut down on that and make it very, very punishable.
So I have no issue with it. The reason I was asking is because in the game tonight, Crosby obviously got this stick in the face from Darnell Nurse, and he bled. But it went to a commercial break. However, Crosby's out on the ice for the very next shift. Like, if the purpose of getting an additional 2 minutes because you cut someone, it's because they can't play. Because you can't play with an open wound, obviously. So I don't understand. I get that there's a commercial break. There might have been time to patch up Crosby or whatever, but there should still be some formality to that. Yeah. Even if he jumps on the ice after the puck's dropped. I don't know.
Well, after this game, or after this podcast, I'll go do some research over the next couple days, take some time to go find out exactly why the double minor is a thing in the first place. Because to my knowledge as well, doesn't it only really apply to high sticking penalties?
I think so, yeah.
Like, it doesn't apply to anything else. Like, I don't know if you cross-check a guy in the face and draw blood, if that would be a double minor.
Yeah,
technically high sticking, you're hitting him with your stick in the face. So.
I think when it's like discretionary, it can be elevated to like a match penalty, but I think it has to be pretty egregious for that. But yeah, just wanted to bring that up before we move off of Buffalo. Obviously, they didn't get the result they wanted. Buffalo kind of walked all through Alberta with their heads held high. I know they whopped Calgary too. So,
well, like we said, Buffalo's a good team.
Yep. Changing of the guard. Moving into Carolina, the Oilers not again. Actually, this is the first, probably their best start to a hockey game this year.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was nice to actually not give up the first goal. It was weird to feel that. I know I was walking when the game started, and I got the update on my phone. I was like, oh, fuck, we actually scored first? Like, I was ready to come back to a house where we're down 2-0 or something.
I mean, that's just kind of commonplace for us at this point. I did see an interesting stat that I can't remember the period it's over, but it's at least since last year, that Edmonton has like a 90% win rate if they score first.
Oh, interesting.
So keep that in mind for this game where they scored first, too.
That's true. Yeah. Are we heading to a power play right now?
Yes. McGinn took an interference penalty.
But
the replay they showed did not look like an interference penalty. It looked like a focal trip, if anything. So, I don't know. I kind of missed that one. Huh. That's part of the problem is, like, I'm distracted talking and not paying attention to the game, or I'm paying attention to the game and can't talk.
I'm just talking away here, not listening to me. No big deal. Yeah, so obviously Hyman with the first goal. That was nice to see. But Jesus Christ, is Svechnikov good.
Svechnikov is scary. He has, like, one of the best shots in the league up there with, like, Ovi and Matthews and Draisaitl, for example.
It's so quick because, like, the first one that he scored, it was kind of like I don't know. It looked like it was a bit on edge. The second one was for sure on edge, but, like, Campbell couldn't read any of those shots. They just came off, like...
Just before that, too, he had two shots. The first one, Campbell saved with the end of his stick.
Yes.
Just barely saved it. And then right after that, Svechnikov has a wide open net that he misses. And I'm like, oh, damn, I thought this guy was a sniper. And then turns out he is, and I was wrong.
I know, he's one of the most underrated, I think, NHL players. I know talking to Jordan Martinook, he's mentioned to me a couple of times, like, just when he talks about the talented players that he's played against, like he said, probably Svechnikov should be like top 5 in the league.
To be fair, Martinook's a little biased. He loves Svechnikov.
That's true. Yeah.
We've heard those pregame Mr. Svechnikovs.
That is true. There's a new thing every year, apparently, so I'm intrigued to see what it is this year.
Well, unfortunately, Martinook got sent down, didn't he?
No, he was playing.
To my knowledge, I thought he got sent down to the AHL at the beginning of the year. He might be called up now, but...
He was here in Edmonton.
Okay.
He was playing on the second line with Stahl.
Oh, well, look at that. Look how much I pay attention.
It's always nice when buddies come to town. So, so obviously with those 2 goals from Svechnikov, they found themselves up by 1 after, but let's not glance over the power kill. Another shorty. It's coming like... I saw it tonight. Obviously, Edmonton gave up the power play goal, so that makes it they're consistently giving up at least 1 power play goal every single game, which has got to change. But they're also seeming to score shorthanded every single game too.
Well, at least every other game, which, to be fair, that's all you really want. I'd rather kill penalties, to be fair, because our penalty kill has not been fantastic this year. But it's hard to complain when you score a goal.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, I wonder if that's like the recipe for the reason we're giving up, these goals. Maybe we're a little offensive minded.
Well, I was watching this game with my roommate, and he's not an Oilers fan, but he was watching the Oilers power play, or penalty kill rather, and he, in his words, he's like, I've never seen a power play like who wants to, or a penalty kill. Sorry, I keep getting those mixed up. A penalty kill who wants to score more than Edmonton's penalty kill. They're out there like looking for any chance they can get to get that stick in the lane and just go.
Yeah.
Which sometimes opens up lanes for the other team, because if they do miss that, they're already half committing to leaving the zone, which kind of opens up that cross-seam pass and ends up fucking them over once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's working. It's right now. We'll see if it creates more of a problem like later on in the year when teams kind of get it figured out. So see if things kind of continue. But yeah, Ryan McLeod gets the Oilers up and on the board there. Kane finally gets his first goal. It was a long time coming.
I mean, he was a little snake bitten, and usually he scores in bunches, so I'm surprised he hasn't had like any multi-goal games yet.
Yeah, I have a feeling tonight's coming.
Well, there's still, I think, 10 minutes or so left in the game, so I guess we'll see 8:35 left in the game.
Nice. Okay. I can't even see the TV, so this is probably...
We won't have much commentary on this third period, and to be fair, it's been pretty, like... It's been a little back and forth, but more of a defensive battle this period from what I can tell.
Honestly, that's probably a good thing for us.
Oh, if you're winning, of course it is. But, yeah, just the odd man rush going both ways, but we broke up the 2-on-1, they broke up the 2-on-1, so it's been a little meh, I guess. The power play there by Edmonton, from what I noticed while I was talking, it wasn't that effective. Didn't really get much going on it.
I feel like our power play is a little bit snake bitten this year. Speaking of,
I think our power play is not snake bitten, and that we are way too spoiled by last year.
That's
we
fair,
had like 50% at the beginning of the year, because I believe our power play is still third in the league at like 37.5%, and we're like, our power play is not good enough, damn it. It was like
every single time we have to be scoring.
Imagine if you're like Vancouver, where after 3 games they were a -2 on their power play because they gave up 2 shorties and scored nothing.
Man, Vancouver, what a tire fire there.
We'll get into that maybe one day, but I think we have a lot of games to cover.
Yeah. The Oilers walk away from Carolina, evening up their record at 2-2. I know is chaos. I'm gonna be complete honest. I missed the third period. I was just following up on scores, but I was just curious if you had any insights to the third.
I really don't, like, with this many games in such a short period of time. I was complaining last week about like 2-day gaps between games. But now that I'm like realizing that I need to like mentally know what I'm talking about for this podcast, I'm like, damn, this is too many games. When it's not your full-time job, it's hard to be like a like a Gregor or something where you know every play of every game because you've watched it 3 times. Breakaway. Oh, what a save by Jari.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm like, all I see at the corner of my eyes, like, oh, that's an Oilers player in by himself. Breakaway. But yeah, it's hard to keep up, and like I can understand why a lot of people, like who do a podcast, for example, tend to be people who are just only doing sports-related content because that's kind of all they know and all they have time to do.
Yeah.
Like we're just talking about one team.
Exactly. I think that's a perfect transition into St. Louis, because one of the weirdest things that I saw, we were a week and a half into the schedule, 2 weeks, because it started theoretically on that Friday. That was only St. Louis's 3rd game.
Yeah, they haven't had many games this year. I'm in a fantasy league and I have Robert Thomas and Pavel Buchnevich.
Where's the points?
And I'm just like, like these players have barely played at all. I don't know what's going on. Like, I know Buchnevich is injured, but like another 2-on-1. See, now this game's opening up. You keep saying but that's for us.
Oh, I can't see the TV.
I know. Yeah, we're like, let's watch the game together. The TV's pointed at me. He can't even see it.
So the Oilers come in. St. Louis comes into town on Saturday. I have a beef with these 2 o'clock games. I fucking hate them.
This game I recorded because I was super busy on Saturday working and I wasn't available to watch till like 7.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you're able to avoid your phone, recording games is the best thing you can do. Because we finished that game in like an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Because skip every, like, pretty much if the whistle blows, you hit skip. As long as you didn't care about a replay, it will go right to the next face-off. Every commercial, you hit skip 3 times, skips all 3 commercials, you're right back to the game. Jeez. And then, obviously, you can skip through all of intermission.
Oh, see, I have an issue where we're coming up to the holiday season. My PVR is loaded with the W network. So
every Christmas movie in existence.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean. There's so much stuff that you can get past without having to watch or skip through how many gambling ads.
Exactly. Like that's the thing. I'm falling behind on my gambling ads. I don't know what's new, what's fresh.
So I took a look at the Oilers' schedule. I don't know if this is a new thing that they're doing this year, but the Oilers have like half a dozen games that start at 2:00 on Saturdays.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems aggressive.
Like I don't.
If they're on Saturdays, I almost get it, because the reason this game was at 2:00, for example, is that Toronto and Winnipeg played at 5, plus Montreal played at 5, plus Calgary played at 8, plus Vancouver played at 8. So they had all the Canadian teams playing, so they wanted to make sure that they were all on TV at different times. Because I understand 2 games on at the same time with the Canadian teams for CBC.
Yeah.
But as soon as there's 3 games, I think that's when it gets a little lost. So we just kind of got fucked. Personally, I think it's Calgary who should get fucked because I hate them. But that's just
Calgary can go get fucked. Yeah.
I like watching Vancouver get fucked because it's funny. But yeah, it's just I don't know. 2:00 games, not the worst, not the best. And I think they want to grow a little bit with a younger fan base, and those afternoon games let kids go.
I guess that makes sense.
As long as it's not a 2:00 game on like a Wednesday.
That's fair.
Then nobody's going to be there, or everyone's calling in sick to work.
That's another argument for another day, but like whoever's scheduling these fucking baseball postseason games, like obviously people may not know listening, I'm a gigantic baseball nerd. And so I've been trying to watch these fucking postseason games, but they're starting at like 11 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. Like, who's going to these games?
That's what happens when you play a sport where they play like a million times a year, and they have to jam all these games.
I will not put up with baseball slander on this podcast.
Well, we shouldn't talk about it then, because I will slander the shit out of baseball.
Okay. On the topic of 2 p.m. games, I also saw the Oilers' record during matinees all time is like 80 and 122.
It's always been bad.
Yeah.
For a team that starts slow, like we can't start in the afternoon because we start extra slow.
So that looks good for November, because the first weekend we have a 2:00 game against Dallas. The next weekend we have a 2:00 game against Florida. 2 weeks after that we have an 11:00 game against New York. It's just there's 2 more in December? 1?
See, you're looking at this as an opportunity for us to fail. I like to think of it as an opportunity for redemption, where this team can prove that they can actually win matinee games.
Oh, I'm just talking about it fucking with my schedule.
That's true. Yeah. The midday Saturday games. It makes for a fun day.
Yeah. But
I think we got a little off track. St. Louis and Edmonton played each other in one of the most boring games I've ever watched, giving me shades of Minnesota in the early 2000s and 2010s. Yeah, that was something to watch, I'll tell you that much. That's kind of St. Louis brand hockey, I guess, but
there's no jump to anything. Like, nobody looked interested to be there.
Well, everyone's usually taking the pregame nap at 2:00.
Yeah.
So none of them, I don't think anybody, even on like St. Louis, looked like they were really ready or even trying to be there in the first place. At the halfway point of the game, there was 22 shots on net from both teams. It's like there was that many shots by one team in one period.
Yeah, exactly. Like nobody was clicking. I think it was evident on Saturday a lot of the timing issues that the Oilers have. Like, passes were going into people's feet, behind people. Like, I'd be interested to pull up the passing percentage just to see what that was at.
Well, like I said, there was that terrible Draisaitl pass to McDavid that just missed by a mile.
Yeah.
But was it the St. Louis game where Kulak blew another tire?
Yes.
And then also had one of possibly the worst giveaways I've ever seen in my life that Jack Campbell bailed him the fuck out of.
Yes.
That got my heart rate going in the worst way. I'm just like, Kulak, what are you doing? Like, I've seen some comments from people talking about, like, oh, he's been, like, lifted into that second pairing role. Like, it's more responsibility, so he's just adjusting to that. But, like, I don't care if you're a fucking, like, I don't know, peewee player. You should be making that fucking mistake.
Yeah. He's had a tough start to this year. He is not the Brett Kulak that showed up for the Oilers last year.
Well, I got to wonder if somebody's like sabotaging his skates or something. Another 2-on-1.
For Edmonton?
Yeah. 1-0. There it is.
Bingo.
Ryan McLeod. My boy.
He did it just for you, Sean.
I got that text from somebody when he scored that shorthanded goal. He's like, your boy, he did it. I was like, you know it. I love Ryan McLeod.
You're just going to get a 71 jersey that just says my boy on the back.
Exactly. Everybody will know. It'll be like capital B, so it looks like McLeod.
Yeah, I'm with you. Kulak was just... I felt... There's been a handful of times that Jack Campbell's been put unreasonably out to dry with just boneheaded plays this year. And I know it's early, and a lot of those brain farts are happening, but it's happening way too often. Obviously, you hope that they clean it up, and it's just like kinks that they're shaking out. But
well, it leads to the first period of this game, and like I didn't notice as much in the second because we're dominating pretty hard, and I haven't been paying enough attention to the third. But Edmonton, their transition game has completely lost it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it is, if they don't have good enough support from the forwards or if everyone's timing is just off because it's early in the season. But nobody seems to be able to make those short little passes to get out of the zone. Everyone's panicking, pucks chipping all over the place. Meanwhile, in the other end, the other team just gets possession and calmly passes it out or passes it away out of the zone unless Hyman or Yamamoto is there like threatening them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it means everybody on our team needs to start playing like that, but I don't know what the fuck is happening.
I feel like everyone's a little bit lost, and I feel bad picking on one person because like the whole team was not great. But I felt like Evan Bouchard, like I don't know if he was out late on Friday night, but it just looked lost.
Yeah, it wasn't great by him, but I don't know. And like he's still a young player; he'll have up and down games. I got to give him the benefit of the doubt because this game, for example, he's having a great game. There was 2 stretch passes that both resulted in Hyman breakaways, of which he scored on one. Mm-hmm. Like that's exactly what he's here to do.
Exactly,
is a great breakout pass that leads into a like chance, preferably a breakaway every time. It's like sure, why not? But like. I don't know what it is. You got to wonder if my cousin was trying to convince me of this. I still don't necessarily believe this part of it, that the absence of Keith as a calming presence on the back end is kind of impacting the team a little bit.
I've said this too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's elements to the Oilers locker room that is missing. I know he's player development or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet, obviously, because I'm not in the room. I don't know. I think they're missing that veteran-like presence because when you think about it, who's there? I know McDavid and Draisaitl are expected to be those like leaders, but
I mean, at this point, a lot of the players on this team should be considered veterans.
Yeah, but I was gonna say they don't have the experience, but this is coming off of a Western Conference.
Maybe they just don't have the leadership pedigree that, especially a Duncan Keith brings with him, right? And then another thing to consider is on the defense, especially with their transitional play, is for the past, 3 years, they've been so reliant on Mike Smith and him getting the puck behind the net and making more than just like a 5-10 foot pass to whichever defenseman is on his left or his right. And actually sometimes making passes up to the forwards and like pretty much being that third defenseman who makes a great breakout pass.
Yeah.
Where the defensemen don't even like, say for example, if like Pittsburgh here dumps in the puck goes behind the net and Campbell goes back, he'll play it to essentially the 2 corners like in the trapezoids.
Yeah.
Or outside of the trapezoid. And when Smith was in net, the defenseman would be at like the top of the circle.
Yeah.
And he'd be able to pass to them, which makes it so much easier for the defenseman to like turn around and make that play.
That's a great point. I think there probably is. They obviously would have to change their game entirely from not having that same approach. And you can't expect Jack Campbell to come in and adapt his game either.
Well, you have to take it with a grain of salt as well because like I make this point, but Smith only played like half the games each season, and Koskinen or Skinner was in the net for the other ones.
But you could kind of see Koskinen, like when Talbot was around, like Koskinen never left the net.
Yeah, it's true. Smith has that kind of effect on everybody I think he played with. Like, you got to know that he's been talking to those guys in practice. Like, yeah, just do it. Do it. Tell you, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So other than that, just a sleeper of a game.
Well, it was kind of annoying too in this game. I'll get into this game with you.
The St. Louis game?
Yeah, there was one goal.
Yeah.
From Torrey Krug, really. Like, I'm not going to count the empty netter as a goal.
Right.
It was that first period penalty. There was no penalties for the entire game until the third period, where there was one power play for Edmonton, which at that point, they still had no energy and just didn't have it in them.
I wanted to... I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the one thing... I don't know... I'm going to start paying more attention to the refereeing crews. And I know you brought it up before about the idea of starting a podcast just reviewing referees.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Me
it's
and my
not
friend
a horrible
had that
idea.
discussion about doing that.
I wonder, like, if there's different crews that calls things differently, because, like, they were letting everything that was getting called a penalty. I'm not saying that I didn't like the way the game was called, but there's just no consistency game to game.
That's the win. The game is over. Edmonton wins 6-3. You'll love to see it.
First regulation loss of the year for Pittsburgh.
Good.
There we go.
Get them out of here.
Yeah, there's just no consistency from everything, like, game to game. You don't know what you're going to get. And
Well, that's what happens when you leave half the decisions to professional judgment. When there's too many gray areas for everything. Even in today's game, like, I'll just talk about it quick. There was the Kane hooking penalty, I'm going to say, and I'm air quoting right now.
I don't know if I caught this.
He hooks towards his gloves, but it's on the lower part of his stick, so it's not between his hands, and it hooks onto the stick and maybe touches his hand. And it barely looks like a hook. They call it hooking. Literally immediately afterwards, Kane, like, as soon as he's done hooking, he just gets, like, tripped and, like, instantly. And there's no call. And I'm just like, how do you call that a penalty? That's kind of a weak call to a blatant fucking tripping penalty.
Well, yeah, and I think we saw it too with the Hyman penalty as well, where I don't know who went down in the corner, and then when Jari was skating out, like, completely slew-foots Draisaitl.
Yeah, that needs to be discussed, I think, too, is, like, whose responsibility is it to, like, get out of the way? Because, like, obviously Draisaitl's back-checking.
Yeah.
And Jari just kind of... He's trying to skate in front of Draisaitl at the same time Draisaitl's trying to skate.
It's a pick play.
And it's like, you're the goalie. Go behind him and get to the bench. You're not supposed to be involved in the play.
That was absolutely deliberate. Like, that's a pick play. That should be called every single time. But
yeah, it was a complete joke that like... They were talking about potentially calling Draisaitl a penalty on him. I was like, what do you mean? Like, that's coincidentals.
Yeah. Craziness. Yeah, let's leave St. Louis behind. We'll move on to this game here.
Yeah, the St. Louis game, it was pretty bland. No penalties, no nothing. And honestly, it's a good one to just walk away from and just say it was a bad game from everyone outside of the goalies.
The good thing about a 2 p.m. game and losing it and kind of, being, they're at that point, what, 2-4?
Yeah.
You can get
2-3. Because we're now 3-3.
Oh, jeez. Why am I so, like, negative?
We did not lose this game tonight. We won, damn it.
Is you can go and hopefully the guys got together, got some sort of team bonding in, whether it's going out on a town, having everybody over or whatever. Because, like, sometimes it's half the battle. Like, I think of, was it Glenn Gulletson with the Flames when they're having that, like, real terrible stretch and, like, he brought in a case of beer and he's like, we're figuring this out until we leave the room.
Yeah, I think Vancouver needs to do something like that right about now.
God.
We're just going to keep bringing up how much it sucks to be a Vancouver fan right now.
I don't feel bad at all. I don't feel bad.
I think it's funny, but like sucks to be a fan still.
Realistically, did anyone expect, well, I guess they didn't expect it to be this bad, but...
Well, I expected a little bit more out of their offense, honestly. I think their offense is really, really strong. And their defense is super, super weak. But I thought it would just be high-scoring games because of that. Because good offense, bad defense. Look at Edmonton. They're kind of in the same boat. Like, when your top three centers are Pettersson, Miller, and Horvat.
Yeah.
Like, it's similar to running a, like, not quite as big three, but it's like a big three in Edmonton, where it's like, who do you match your defense against? Third pairing's going against pretty much a second-line center no matter where you go. So...
Tough sledding there in Vancouver. Yeah, so the Oilers wrap up 6-3 is the final?
6-3 is the final. Yes, I did have a couple notes that I wanted to quickly mention.
Sure.
From my notes that I made during the periods. One of which was Hunter has that stupid fucking drum where he does the dun, 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 and then let's go Oilers.
Yeah.
My dog fucking hates it. He keeps thinking somebody's knocking at the door, and he won't stop barking whenever there's a let's go Oilers
chant. It's hilarious.
It's driving me insane. I wanted to mention we talked about Bouchard's passes on the Hyman goal and the other Hyman breakaway rather. The first pass was one of the first times I've seen Bouchard, and we've talked about this, have a sense of urgency where he looks over his shoulder, sees the guy, and immediately makes the play. He doesn't sit there and like have to think about it for some reason. He actually uses his brain and goes and does it, which was great to see. I loved every second of that. On the power play, when Raquel scored, Murray was screening him. I mentioned this earlier. If you're going to screen your own goalie, especially if there's no opposing player around you, you better block the fucking shot.
Yeah.
Or get the fuck out of the way and let the goalie see it.
I didn't think the screen was that bad when they showed the second angle in front of it. I thought Campbell just like whiffed on it.
Well, it was a wicked shot.
Yeah.
It was post in. You can't argue with that, but still.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to be in front of the goalie, get in the way of the shot and block it. It's very simple. If you were that goalie, you'd be like, dude, just get the fuck out of the way.
No kidding. Yeah.
I don't know if you had any additional notes from the game either.
No, the only thing I had is when the fuck did Jeff Petrie go to Pittsburgh?
That's true. You did ask about that. That was just that was one of Pittsburgh's Montreal's cap dumps. They were kind of just done with him.
Yeah.
And he's still a quality player, to be fair. Whether it's like a second pairing, like I know he did have a season or two where he seemed like he was like first pairing material, but now he's kind of fallen back down.
And the other thing is I was fully mentally prepared for Josh Archibald and Drake Caggiula to light us up.
Oh, that's true. I did see that third line. I was like, what is this? Like the Edmonton garbage bin line? Like, what the fuck? The only thing we hadn't had was Ryan Poehling on this team, but like, Jesus, I don't know what the hell they're thinking with that line. Like, I don't mind the players, but
yeah. No, I didn't know what tonight was going to bring for Edmonton. Obviously, the one thing that I did want to bring up too is I feel that the Oilers are putting more of an emphasis on faceoffs. I think you're seeing it across the team. They finished tonight with 54% on the draws, and I think like they've been consistent in all their games.
Pittsburgh's a pretty good face-off team too, with the veterans that they have on that team. Because outside of Poehling, who's on the fourth line, not really a veteran, they have Malkin, Crosby, and Carter. All three of which are like, I don't know if they're known for their face-off. Crosby maybe, but like they're veteran players. They know what they're doing, and it's nice to see guys like McDavid and Draisaitl, even McLeod. I don't know how many Nuge took tonight, but it's nice to see them being able to compete on the face-off dot and not having to talk about it every game and we lose the face-off percentage again.
Yeah. Just on that note, I had written down here. Let's bring this up. Yeah, out of all the games so far this year, the Oilers have only like been the lesser of the face-off wins in 2 games.
Okay.
So puck possession's kind of the name of the game right now, so it's always nice to see that. But that was just the only thing that I pulled out from the game. Not sure if you can hear the fireworks going on. I believe it's Diwali today. So.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
I got out of my truck to walk over here, and I heard a firework, and I audibly said, "It's a Monday!" Like, what the fuck are you doing? But if it makes sense if it's an actual holiday for a culture. So if I apologize for that.
If you're celebrating. Yeah, that's the noise going on in the background. Looking ahead, just looking at the schedule right now, the Oilers have St. Louis again on Wednesday, so I'm Chicago on Thursday, and then the second of our 3 Battle of Albertas on Saturday. Like, why are we getting only 3, and why are we getting 2 of them done like right now?
Well, all of them are in the first half of the season.
I know.
So there's going to be no playoff implications in any of those games.
Yeah.
Which is kind of disappointing, but I'm really hoping that we can take it to them on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then we also won't have to record during a game because then we have 2 days off until Tuesday.
That's true. It's true.
So we won't have this absolute like shit show of a podcast where we're all over the fucking place.
No kidding. What was I going to say? So I would expect to see Stuart Skinner in one of those 2 games this week. I think you're probably going to get him in the Chicago game. I would bet.
Well, it's a back-to-back, so I think that's a pretty fair bet.
Yeah.
Outside of him maybe playing St. Louis game, but...
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they end up going there. But yeah, I just want them to just absolutely tune in Calgary on Saturday. That would be That would be a nice end to the week.
I hope so.
Anything else? I just had one point. Retros. Reverse retros.
Oh, yeah, those were leaked. I was about to say, I think that's the one point that I remember. And I will continue to say I don't love the orange oil drop. Okay. I don't know what it is, but I can't do it.
I'm just bringing up all that one photo that has everything in it. Where are we? But yeah, I'm with you there. Like, it does kind of stand out. There's a couple edits that I saw that were better, but is there any ones that like stand out to you that, like, obviously if you had to pick the worst 3?
Oh, of all of the reverse retros?
Yeah.
Honestly, the ones that aren't very, like, I don't know, that they don't stray from stuff much, like the Detroit one I don't like. Yeah. I think it's the Chicago one I don't really like very much. The ones I love, though, Florida is fantastic.
Yeah.
I would wear that every single day. I love the Boston one because I love the Winnie the Pooh bear. That shit makes me laugh. I'm trying to think of any of the other ones. Which ones did you really like?
Well, yeah, the ones I hated were definitely Detroit and Chicago. It's just, they felt like nothings, but I don't know what it is about Calgary's the White Sea. I just don't love it. But
I don't know what's with the bottom banner that goes up toward the logo. That looks really fucking dumb to me. I don't know if people think that looks cool, but
I saw Nation Dan, speaking of him, he put a thing, he's like, if it's supposed to be a pedestal, shouldn't the sea be like upside down so the flames are like facing up? That's a good point.
That makes sense if that's the way that it works.
I don't get it either.
Tampa's jersey looks pretty dumb.
That was the one that's the worst.
I don't like the storm call thing or whatever that is. It's not looking cool.
Ugh.
I will say I do love the classic purple and yellow LA Kings jerseys.
Yeah, they really never go wrong on these. Like, they always have amazing jerseys.
I can't take the Seattle or Vegas reverse retro jerseys. I think they should just like maybe step out and be like, yeah, it's fine. We don't have one. Don't worry about it.
The one that gets it's getting a lot of hate that I think is actually like really fire is the Arizona Coyotes jersey.
I don't know why it's getting hate. It looks fun.
Yeah, it's I love it. And then to see the Capitals, that old school logo come back, I like that.
True. Same with the Penguins with the triangle penguin.
Yes.
I don't know what the proper term is for that thing, but and then the Islanders brought back the fisherman too.
That's how I know like I'm getting old, is because like that triangle penguin was like my childhood growing up. That's what I remember the Penguins by. And now, I'm getting old.
Now it's some skating penguin. Nobody knows what's going on. I do like as well that Nashville brought back the mustard cats.
It took me a second. I didn't realize like what they changed, but yeah, I saw the comparisons. Holy, they're partying outside.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, maybe we can use these fireworks as a good send-off for ourselves here.
Yes, everybody is celebrating the Oilers' a 6-3 victory against the Penguins.
Yeah, every win, we launch fireworks.
All right. I guess next week's Halloween.
Yeah, it is.
So we'll figure things out. Well, his podcast will be here.
Oh, it'll be on Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Does that mean people are going to be ringing the doorbell the whole time we're recording the podcast?
We'll figure that out.
Okay. Jeez, I didn't even think about that. Okay, never mind.
All right, if you're celebrating Diwali or you're celebrating Halloween, be safe, have fun. We'll see you next week.